Netanyahu came out aggressively against Jared Kushner, openly scolding him and saying that he's scolding him over talking to Hamas directly. Jared Kushner was in Egypt talking to the head of Hamas in Egypt directly, which made a lot of Israelis very angry. Netanyahu has already rejected President Trump's 15-point peace plan with Hamas. So Hamas is basically saying that we're not going to disarm until Israel stops attacking us. And Israel is saying we're not going to stop attacking until Hamas is completely disarmed. And they're also finding it absolutely ridiculous that part of the deal is Hamas will get to put the weapons in storage themselves and it would be under their management. That's not really disarmament. So they want to make sure that the guns are completely out before they abide by anything. So this is a huge rejection of President Trump's peace plan by the Board of Peace in Gaza. It's not so Netanyahu hasn't directly attacked President Trump, of course, but he has attacked Jared Kushner, which, as we understand it, Jared Kushner is doing this all because President Trump has told him to. He wouldn't be doing any of this without President Trump. So some people see it as a direct attack on President Trump. Some people are saying this is all for show. This is all 5D chess. The fight is not real. Everything, they're all good behind the scenes. All stuff is obviously to confuse the enemy. So again, so Sean, for example, in the chess is saying this is 100% 5D chess. Okay. Some people are saying calling it 5D chess is coping. This is real tension. You can't excuse everything away by calling it 5D chess plan. To be fair to the 5D chess people, it is true that Netanyahu needs to say this for the upcoming election, October election in Israel. And both sides have internal domestic politics. It's interesting. In the United States, Trump gets accused of Netanyahu controlling him, and in Israel, Netanyahu gets accused of Trump controlling him. So it does make sense that both sides need to signal internally that we're not being controlled and we get to make our own decisions. So it does serve an internal political purpose for the upcoming elections in October for Israel and November for the United States. But at the same time, the tension could be real. It's all of these three can be real. It could be no tensions at all, and this is for show. It could be a lot of tension, more than what we're seeing, and they're actually downplaying it, and the tension is actually higher. And it could be the tension is exactly what like at the same level that you're saying. So I don't know which one it is, and I think that some people pretend to know what's happening, but I think it's the most honest take is that it is not to dismiss any of these options, right?
So I think it's a mix of both. I think it's played up. I think they're having actual some disagreements on the wording and like the time frame of the agreement. But I think the public kind of display of tensions is worked up not for necessarily the regime or other enemies, but it's for domestic political reasons in both countries. Trump is a very transactional person, and I think he wants a deal sooner rather than later. And I think Bibi and the rest of the Israeli cabinet are taking this and thinking about the long term on this one.
So you don't think that any of the fighting is real? There's no tension?
I think there is tension. They disagree, like there's agreements privately.
Okay. Okay.
Just one more thing I just wanted to add to this because Mike Huck, U.S. ambassador to Israel, came out with a tweet like an hour ago, basically saying that the reporting on the meeting between the two delegations in Jerusalem today, there was disagreement. There was like slight disagreements and like back and forth, but it was nothing like scolding or yelling or anything like that.
Didn't Prime Minister Netanyahu use the word scalding? That I scolded Jared Kushner? Isn't that what he said?
I'm not sure. I don't speak Hebrew. I was just going off of what he was saying.
Good to know. I didn't know that. I didn't know, Mike.
No government, right? No administration, no government, no dictatorship is a homogenized block. So there's always going to be people who disagree with stuff, right? And the content and context of that disagreement is going to vary, right? It could be superficial, it could be operational, it could be at what the overall goal could be. That's just, those things exist. As you're going to see that in any organization, provided that organization has people, right? So this will speak to you. It's like something that libertarians often cite, which is the arrow and possibility theorem, which says if you put more than three or more people in a room, it's almost impossible to get them to agree even on one thing without some form of coercion. Because people have different ideas on stuff. Maybe they have different interests. They maybe even if they have the same interest, they shake out differently on what's the best approach going forward. So those are all real. I think that very much gets misrepresented and or people draw just erroneous inferences from those differences. Regardless of those differences, there's broader geopolitical and geostrategic environments that are there independent of what those differences are. So there's another layer. That's what I think. It's not a lot of things you mentioned weren't mutually exclusive, if that makes sense.
What do you think about how so many Israelis think that this is so unfair for them to be held back, for Washington D.C. to expect them to hold back against attacking Hamas, and also some of them thinking that United States, this administration doesn't understand Hamas when they tell them that when they're asking Israelis they're basically asking them to trust Hamas with their word, and they're like, how naive the Israelis are thinking, how naive can this administration be? And we're done trusting terrorists.
And like this administration doesn't, at least to the best of my knowledge, doesn't trust terrorists. You're trying to, how do you couch juggling different operational constraints in a manner that doesn't signal a potential vulnerability that your enemy can exploit? That's probably another part of it, right? Whether it's operational constraints in theater, whether it's logistical issues, whether it's domestic tactical political issues. How do you signal that? There's another issue. Am I in the camp that says that Israel should pull its punches? No, not at all. I hope everybody understands where Jeff sits there. I've been pretty clear about who I am. There are other people who shake out differently on that. We should be, if it was up to me, if I was like the guy who said, Mr. President, this is what you need to do, and he's like, the only person I'm listening to is Jeff because he's on Armin's show and he says a lot of awesome things. There's such attractive people on Armin's show, right? And you know what I would do? You would have 5x5. The regime would be dead. We would hammer the shit out of Hezbollah, and we'd have cleaned out Hamas, and this would all be over in a month. There'd be nothing left. The Middle East would be very quiet. Yeah, Houthis, all of them gone. Well, gone. That would be how I do it. And I outline the reasons why. Tragically, I'm one guy. I'm one voice and of a particular block that says this is where the data says we should go. There are other people who disagree.
If I wanted to steelman the Trump administration, I would say that don't look at what they're saying, look at what they're doing. What they're saying is basically the classic good cop, bad cop. If you want to criticize them, see if there's any consequences to Israel attacking Hamas. So they might come out and say, hey, don't you attack Hamas? But then Israel will attack Hamas. And if there's zero consequences from the US side, then who cares what they said? So what they do is more important than what they say. Is that a good steelman?
Yeah, others might be putting more primacy on soft power elements. So when I face off against leftists and I go off and I do nothing but carry a t-shirt and a cell phone, you're like, you're never going to convince them. I know I'm not. What are you doing? I know they're going to attack me. My point is they're not the target audience. There are other people that are the target audience. So maybe that's the issue. It could be any number of, I'm just saying these are any number of calculations that people would look at to underwrite where they shake out on, say, public statements surrounding our very gallant IDF allies. Now, I would just eliminate these people and that, like the terrorists, and that'd be done with it. I'm not trusting Hamas. Fuck that. We need to go. Hezbollah, Houthis, all of them. I would do a clean sweep of the entire Middle East. And it would be done very economically without spending any critical munitions. I'm only one guy. Maybe the reason is it's not just for domestic political audiences. Maybe it's within the broader, say, ULMA, right? To sit there and bolster up or to solidify the Abraham Accords so that we can have a regional coalition comprised of Israel and Gulf states that can then take and play a more integral role in taking down the Mullah regime remnants and or stabilizing the regime post Mullah regime, so you don't have opportunistic douche canoes like Islamicists that tragically in part occupy Pakistan. Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state of the Chinese Communist Party try to wiggle their way in and take advantage of, say, a instability and transition in a post-Mullah environment.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.